We are overjoyed.
Well, I'm completely flabbergasted.
Right now at 6, Georgia's heartbeat abortion law is in effect after a U.S. appeals court ruled in favor of the controversial legislation.
How that news hit this building like a thunderbolt for both supporters and opponents alike.
We have live Team 2 coverage on the impact, the timing, and what comes next.
Live, local, late-breaking. This is Channel 2 Action News at 6 p.m. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 2 Action News at 6. I'm George Estevez in for Justin Farmer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Stouffer. We begin tonight with new developments in the fight over abortion in Georgia. In the last hour, the state's controversial abortion law went into effect. This after a federal appeals court ruled in favor of the legislation. That means most abortions will no longer be allowed once a doctor can detect a heartbeat. And there are exceptions for rape and incest. Also, if the woman's life is in danger or in instances of medical futility when a fetus would not be able to survive. So to help break this all down, let's get to Channel 2's Richard Elliot. He's live at the state capitol and begins our live Team 2 coverage. Richard.
And, you know, we were covering a completely different story at the Fulton County Courthouse about 2 blocks from here when we got the news. Now, we knew that Governor Brian Kemp was having a news conference here at the Capitol involving Georgia military veterans, so he rushed over here in time to get his statement on this law and to hear from opponents to this law, too.
We are overjoyed that the court has paved the way for the implementation of Georgia's Life Act.
Less than 30 minutes after the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals released its decision that Georgia's heartbeat abortion law is constitutional, Governor Brian Kemp stepped out of his office to say he's happy with the decision and that Georgia's public and private sectors are ready to deal with it.
And as mothers navigate pregnancy, birth, parenthood, or alternative options to parenthood, like adoption, Georgia's public, private, and nonprofit sectors stand ready to provide the resources they need to be safe, healthy, and informed.
We were there in 2019 when Kemp signed that bill into law. It effectively bans abortions at 6 weeks into a pregnancy. In its ruling, the 11th Circuit basically said its decision was based on the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade, quote, but intervening Supreme Court precedent makes clear that no right to abortion exists under the Constitution, so Georgia may prohibit them.
I think it's going to bring a lot of anguish to a lot of women.
We also found Democratic lawmakers like Columbus State Senator Ed Harbison at the state capitol Wednesday who didn't know about the ruling until we told them. Decatur State Senator Emmanuel Jones worried about the burden he says will be on families across Georgia.
I think this is a sad day for women in our great state. Certainly, that bill puts more burden on families at a time when those families certainly can't afford the burden.
Now, we did get a message from the Ackworth lawmaker who wrote this law, Republican Ed Setzler. He said, quote, this ruling gives us a deep sense of peace. We are live in downtown Atlanta. Richard Elliot, Channel 2 Action News.
Now, some counties will enforce the heartbeat law, but others at this point won't. Taking you county by county, Fulton County's Fonnie Willis has told Channel 2 she will not prosecute. Clayton County's DA also said she will not prosecute. Gwinnett County's DA said it will be a case-by-case basis. And DeKalb's DA says the county will not prosecute at this point. Of course, that could change in an election. Looking across the country now, 20 states, including Georgia, have laws in place restricting abortion, though that number is expected to grow. There are several states where proposed abortion laws are currently in limbo.
We continue our live Team 2 coverage now with Channel 2's Audrey Washington live for us in downtown Atlanta. And Audrey, advocates for reproductive rights in our state, they're now reacting.
Right. I spoke with the executive director of the Georgia ACLU. She told me that she is disappointed, but she vowed to continue the fight. Now, as you heard earlier, that ruling came down earlier this afternoon. Originally, a federal judge put the law on hold before it could take effect. It was permanently blocked 2 years ago. But a 3-judge panel with the appeals court said it would wait on a ruling from the Supreme Court before moving on Georgia's appeal. Here's reaction from the executive director of the Georgia ACLU, Andrea Young.
You know, I'm deeply disappointed. I'm also shocked, frankly, by the court's language, referring to our clients who you know, in very derogatory terminology. And we will continue to fight and use all of the legal options that may remain.
And I also spoke with representatives from Planned Parenthood Southeast. In a statement about the ruling, they said in part, quote, "This announcement is an affront to our personal rights and goes against the will of the vast majority of Georgians." As for the executive director of the ACLU, she encouraged more women to get out and vote in November. And we are live here in downtown Atlanta tonight. Audrey, Washington, Channel 2 Action News.
State leaders from both parties responding to this ruling. Governor Brian Kemp said he's overjoyed at the decision, saying, quote, "We've worked hard to increase supportive services for mothers and their children before, during, and after birth." Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock said reproductive health care is health care, adding, quote, "I'll never back away from the fight to restore women's right to get the health care they need, when and where they need it." And his reaction comes in over the court ruling that Georgia's heartbeat abortion law goes into effect. You can count on Channel 2 Action News to bring you the latest at WSB-TV.com.